Hello and welcome to Lost Love Mystery, where we explore the twists and turns of love, the pain of betrayal, and the mysteries that lie hidden in the heart. I never thought I'd be posting here, but I'm completely lost right now. My wife Samantha and I have been married for 7 years. We met in college, fell madly in love, and built what I thought was a pretty dang good life together. I started my own business in logistics that's doing really well, and she teaches yoga part-time while managing our social calendar. We have the house, the cars, even a rental property. From the outside, we're that couple everyone envies. But something's changed in the past few months. Sam's been distant. She's always out with the girls or taking weekend trips with her yoga friends. Our sex life has basically disappeared. When we talk, it feels forced. The laughter that used to fill our house is gone. Last night, after dinner, she sat me down with this weirdly calm expression. She said, "I love you, but I need to explore. I need to find out who I really am before it's too late." Then she dropped the bomb. She wants an open marriage. Says she missed out on experiences in her 20s because we got together so young. Says monogamy feels restrictive now. The effed up part, she wasn't even nervous telling me this. It was like she'd rehearsed it. She kept saying I could explore too if I wanted, like that makes it better. Like this is some gift she's giving us both. I didn't freak out. I just told her, if you feel like you need to explore, go ahead. I won't stop you. Then I moved to the guest room. Here's where it gets worse. I've had suspicions for a while. So this morning while she was at yoga, I checked her iPad, which syncs to her phone. There were hundreds of messages between her and this guy Trevor from her studio. They've been seeing each other for at least 2 months. Hotel receipts, lovey messages, explicit photos, the whole affair package. She doesn't want an open marriage. She wants permission to F this dude with a clean conscience. We have a print-up that she insisted on years ago because her parents went through a nasty divorce. Ironically, it heavily favors me since most assets are in my name. She never cared about the financial stuff. I'm meeting with a lawyer tomorrow. I don't know if I should confront her about Trevor or just serve her papers. Part of me still loves her, but I don't think I can ever trust her again. 7 effing years down the drain. What would you do? Update. First, thank you all for the advice on my original post. Those who told me to lawyer up and gather evidence before confronting her were absolutely right. It's been one HL of a week. After meeting with my lawyer, I spent a few days getting my affairs in order. I transferred some money to a separate account, legally, within the bounds of what's allowed during divorce, secured important documents, and backed up all the evidence of her affair with Trevor. I also reached out to a few friends who confirmed my suspicions. Apparently, Sam and Trevor have been pretty open about their connection within their yoga circle. One friend even sent me photos of them together at a restaurant on a night Sam told me she was at girls' night. The betrayal runs deep, and it's not just from her. While I was doing this, Sam kept pushing the open marriage conversation, wondering why I was being so quiet about it. She even suggested we see a couples therapist who specializes in non-traditional relationships. The audacity of this woman is unbelievable. Yesterday, I finally responded. I told her I had been thinking about her proposal and asked her to meet me for dinner at our favorite restaurant to discuss it. She seemed excited, probably thinking I was coming around to her idea. At dinner, I was calm and collected. I asked her directly if there was anyone specific she was interested in exploring with. She hesitated, then lied straight to my face, saying she hadn't really thought about specific people yet. I nodded, took a sip of my wine, and pulled out my phone. "That's interesting," I said, "because you and Trevor seem pretty specific to me." Then I showed her the screenshots, the photos from my friend, the hotel receipts. The look on her face was priceless. First shock, then anger at me for invading her privacy, then desperate backpedaling. She claimed it was just physical and didn't mean anything. Said she still loved me, and this was why she wanted to open things up, so she could be honest moving forward. Too late for honesty, I told her. Then I slid an envelope across the table. Inside were the divorce papers my lawyer had prepared. She started crying, making a scene in the restaurant, begging me to reconsider, saying she'd break it off with Trevor, that we could go to counseling. But something inside me has completely shut down. I don't feel anything for her anymore. Not anger, not love, just nothing. I got up, paid the bill, and left her sitting there with the papers. When I got home, I packed enough clothes for a few weeks and checked into a hotel. I've blocked her on everything except email, which my lawyer advised to keep open for now. The print-up she insisted on years ago is working in my favor. The house, the business, almost everything is protected. She'll get her personal belongings and whatever she brought into the marriage, but not much else. Turns out her need to explore is going to cost her the life she took for granted. I know the next few months will be rough, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe. I don't know what's next for me, but I know I deserve better than lies and betrayal. Thanks again for all your support. I'll update again when there's more to share. Update. It's been a month since my last update, and I've been through every emotion possible. Some days I feel strong and resolved. Others I find myself looking at old photos, wondering where we went wrong. But I'm staying the course. After I served Sam the papers, she went into full panic mode. She showed up at my office unannounced. Security had to escort her out, bombarded my friends with messages trying to reach me, and even got her mother to call me. We always had a good relationship. Her mom actually apologized to me and said she was ashamed of Sam's behavior. That meant a lot. The most pathetic attempt came when she sent Trevor to talk some sense into me. Can you believe that SHD? The guy my wife was cheating with thought he could convince me to take her back. I laughed in his face and told him he was welcome to her. They deserved each other. He stuttered something about how they never meant to hurt anyone and how their connection was unexpected. I closed the door on him mid-sentence. My lawyer says Sam's finally realized how screwed she is financially. The prenup is ironclad. And since he's the one who cheated, she doesn't have much leverage. Now she's trying to drag things out, hoping I'll get tired and offer a better settlement. Not happening. I've moved back into our house. Legally, I can do this. And she's staying with a friend. Being in the house alone is strange. I keep expecting to hear her keys in the door or her laugh from the kitchen. But each day gets a little easier. What surprised me most is how many people have reached out with similar stories. A buddy from college called to tell me his wife did almost the exact same thing last year. Hearing how he rebuilt his life has been incredibly helpful. I've started therapy, which is something I always thought was for other people. Turns out, talking to someone objective is exactly what I needed. My therapist is helping me process not just the betrayal, but also the subtle ways Sam had been manipulating me for years. There were so many red flags I ignored because I loved her. Last week, I ran into Sam at a coffee shop. It was awkward as hell, but I managed to stay civil. She looks terrible, like she hasn't been sleeping. She asked if we could talk just as friends, and I told her that ship had sailed. As I was leaving, she said something that's been echoing in my head. I didn't think you'd actually leave. Like her actions wouldn't have consequences. Like I was supposed to just accept whatever scraps of our marriage she was willing to give me. That's when it really hit me. She never respected me. Not really. She thought I was too devoted to her to ever walk away, so she could do whatever she wanted. Finding out I have a backbone shocked her. The divorce should be finalized in a couple of months. My business is doing well despite the personal chaos, and I'm thinking about traveling once this is all over. Maybe Japan. I've always wanted to go. For those going through something similar, it does get better. Some days are still hard, but I'm starting to see glimmers of a future I might actually want to live in. Update. It's been 6 months since this whole nightmare began, and 3 months since my divorce was finalized. First, thank you to everyone who's messaged me with support and shared their own stories. This community has been a lifeline. So much has changed. I barely recognize my life anymore, mostly in good ways. The divorce went through faster than expected when Sam finally realized dragging it out was only hurting her. She got exactly what the printup outlined. Her personal belongings, her car, which was in her name, and a small cash settlement that my lawyer negotiated to avoid any future claims. I sold our house, couldn't stand living there with all those memories, made a decent profit, and bought a loft downtown that feels completely different. Open space, industrial vibes, no floral patterns or throw pillows in sight. It's my space, and redesigning it has been surprisingly therapeutic. After the divorce, I took that trip to Japan I mentioned, spent 3 weeks traveling solo, visiting temples, eating incredible food, and just existing in a place where nobody knew my story. It was exactly what I needed. Time to reconnect with myself outside of being Sam's husband or the guy whose wife cheated. As for Sam and Trevor, their great romance lasted all of 2 months after the divorce. According to mutual friends, who are now mostly my friends, Trevor wasn't interested in being her emotional support through the divorce drama. He wanted the excitement of an affair, not the reality of a relationship with someone dealing with major life changes. When she needed a place to stay after moving out of her friend's apartment, He suddenly wasn't ready for that level of commitment. Harm is a BCH. Sam has tried to contact me a few times, first with angry messages blaming me for overreacting and throwing away 7 years over one mistake. Then came the tearful voicemails about how much she misses me and how she realizes what she lost. The latest approach was a carefully worded email suggesting we meet as friends because she has important things to tell me. I haven't responded to any of it. There's nothing left to say. The strangest part of all this is that I'm genuinely happier now. I've reconnected with old friends I had drifted away from during my marriage. Turns out Sam had subtly discouraged many of those friendships. I've taken up rock climbing and joined a poker group that meets weekly. My business has actually grown. Apparently channeling all my anger into work paid off. And yes, I've started dating again. Nothing serious yet, but it's been nice to remember that there are honest, straightforward people out there. I had a great first date last week with a woman who owns a bookstore. We're getting dinner again tomorrow. If you're reading this while going through something similar, hang in there. The pain doesn't disappear completely, but it does transform. The sharp, stabbing agony becomes a dull ache, and eventually, just a scar that reminds you of how strong you had to become. Looking back, the moment I said if you need to explore, go ahead was the moment I took my power back. I didn't beg. I didn't compromise my self-respect. I set a boundary and followed through when it was crossed. Life continues, and surprisingly, it gets pretty darn good again. Final update. It's been exactly 1 year since the night my ex-wife Samantha told me she wanted to find herself through an open marriage, and I found out she was already cheating with Trevor. Since many of you have messaged asking for another update, I figured the 1-year mark was a good time for closure. The short version, I'm good. Really good, actually. The longer version, this year has been a masterclass in rebuilding. At first, I defined myself by what I had lost. My marriage, my partner, my planned future. But gradually, I started defining myself by what I was gaining. Self-respect, genuine connections, and a life that feels authentic. My business has expanded to 3 new cities. The divorce forced me to channel my energy somewhere, and work became my safe place. Last month, I was featured in an industry magazine as an entrepreneur to watch. Professionally, I'm in the best place I've ever been. My downtown loft has become a real home. It's filled with things that matter to me. Books, travel souvenirs, artwork I actually chose. I have friends over regularly for drinks or game nights. The emptiness I felt initially has been replaced with a life that's busy in the best way. The dating scene has been interesting. I've met some incredible women, had a few short relationships, and learned a lot about what I want and don't want. Currently, I've been seeing Olivia, the bookstore owner I mentioned in my last update, for about 7 months. She's brilliant, independent, and refreshingly honest. She knows my whole story and has her own divorce in her past, so we understand each other's baggage. It's too soon to say where it's going. But for the first time since my marriage ended, I'm open to possibilities. As for Sam, she's become a cautionary tale in our social circle. After things ended with Trevor, she went through a series of relationships, each one shorter than the last. She lost her position at the yoga studio when the owner found out she'd been sleeping with multiple married clients. Apparently, Trevor wasn't her only affair. Last I heard, she moved back to her hometown to live with her parents. About 2 months ago, she sent me a handwritten letter, 12 pages of apologies, explanations, and reflections on how she destroyed the best thing in her life. She said therapy had helped her recognize her narcissistic patterns and fear of missing out. She didn't ask to get back together, but said she would always keep the door open if I ever wanted to talk. I didn't respond. Some doors need to stay closed. The most unexpected outcome of this whole experience has been finding strength I didn't know I had. Before this, I thought I was the kind of guy who would forgive anything to keep his marriage together. Turns out, I have lines that can't be crossed. And standing up for myself didn't kill me, it made me better. For those who supported me through this journey, thank you. For those currently in the trenches of betrayal and heartbreak, it gets better. Not right away, not all at once, but gradually, persistently better. This will be my final update. This chapter of my life is closed, and I'm too busy writing new ones to keep looking back. Story 2. This might get long and be semi-ranty, so skip to the bottom for TLDR. Anyways, this year I am a junior in high school. I was looking for a job that wouldn't be too stressful, take up too much time, but still allow me to save up for a car. Currently, I have a full schedule and am taking an online college course. My aunt contacted me a few weeks into the school year asking if I could babysit her 7-year-old daughter for varying hours after school. She said depending on how many hours I worked, she would pay me from $50 to $100 a week. I thought that was fine. It was only after school for a few hours, etc. My aunt lives in the same town as me, so I just rode the bus home with her daughter. For the first few weeks, it was fine. She paid consistently, she was nice, etc. I do not really like the kid. I don't really connect with kids well, but I didn't think it would be too much of an issue since I'm not trying to raise it. However, this kid is honestly one of the worst behaved kids I have ever met. Around her mom, she acts like an angel. Around me, not so much. Some incidents include running away when I wouldn't let her eat a can of frosting, faking an asthma attack, and pretending not to know where her inhaler was. So I called her mom and almost 911 and breaking things such as glass when she gets angry. Then, her mom increases the hours that I'm working, but not the pay. Currently, I work from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. every day and get paid $50 a week. I have tried explaining that I refuse to work 25 to 35 hours a week for $50. Whenever I say this, she gets really upset and even cried once about how she can't afford to pay me anymore. I feel really guilty, but I keep noticing that she buys her daughter expensive toys weekly. She's into magic, and she just bought her a magic kit that was over $150. Whenever I bring up these things, she says that no one will watch her kid, she will have to lose her job, etc., etc. My grades are suffering because I am in primarily honors, and I don't have the time to do homework or even study for my STTS, a CTS, because my aunt does not let me do homework while I'm with her daughter. She says I can't focus on her daughter and the work at the same time. So I get home, do my work until 1 a.m. usually, and then wake up at 6. My junior year is incredibly important. She has even started asking for me to work on weekends, which I can't even spend time with friends because I am catching up on a week's worth of work. Next, every time I ask for a day off, she loses it. I have been planning a trip to Europe with my school for about a year now. I told her about it when I first started working for her, and it's happening in a few weeks. Last week she told me I couldn't go because she needed someone to babysit her daughter. She explicitly told me I couldn't go. She didn't ask if I would skip it. She said I couldn't. I explained it was fully paid for and non-refundable, and an experience I do not want to miss out on. And she started crying and screaming at how inconsiderate I am, how she's going to have to take a week off of work, lose her job, etc. I'm honestly baffled at this, considering I told her in September. Her 21-year-old son also lives at home and does not have a job or go to school. I am wondering why he can't watch her for a week, or really at all. When I asked why her son couldn't watch her, she said he was getting a job. This was in January. He still does not have a job. Now on to the real problem. She has assumed, without consulting me, that I will be working for her from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day during summer and then continue the schedule I have now on to my senior year. I have not even managed to save up enough for a decent car because she doesn't pay well, and I am definitely not going to continue this. I have resigned to do it until my junior year ends, but that's it. This summer, I am doing a range of programs for pre-college and try-a-major type programs. I will be busy. In my senior year, I am taking an online high school class, as well as 2 college classes outside of school. I will simply not have the time nor energy to deal with this woman and her child any longer. My question is this: how can I get out of this? I want to tell her way ahead of time so that she doesn't have more leverage to guilt-trip me about when the time comes for me to stop working for her. I have brought this up once before, and she yelled at me and claimed I was trying to get her to lose her job because she will have no one to watch her daughter. I don't know how to get out of this without being guilt-tripped. It is not my responsibility to care for her daughter for the year when I took this as a casual after-school job. TLDR, I started babysitting my aunt's daughter under the guise it would be a few hours after school each day. It is upwards of 25 to 35 hours a week with very little pay, is extremely stressful, and is causing my ability to do schoolwork to decline. She guilt-trips me every time I try to get more pay, and I don't know how to quit this job once and for all because she says I am going to make her lose her job if I don't babysit her daughter. Please give me advice on how to approach this and how to put my foot down. I have never been good at confrontation, but I cannot handle this for another year. Thank you. Edit. I have spoken to my mother about this, and she told me to honor my commitment I made. My father is not in the picture, so I can't speak to him. Thank you very much for all the advice I have been given. It really means a lot. I have tried speaking to friends about this, but they all have jobs working at McDonald's and things like that, so they have set schedules, pay, etc. I live in a very small town, and there is not a daycare or things of the sort. I forgot to mention that she also drives me home afterwards. 5 to 10-minute drive. Since I don't have a car, and claims the gas money to drive me home is part of the reason she can't pay me more. Edit 2. I also forgot to mention I have a therapist, and I have spoken with her about this. She does believe I am also being used by my aunt. She says for this many hours and a babysitter of my caliber should not be paid this little. This statement kind of got the gears turning and made me realize that I can't keep doing this for the next year and a half. Update. First, thank everyone who responded. I was very surprised to see the outpouring of people who could relate, had helpful advice. I'm sorry I didn't respond to everyone, but I'm very thankful. I want to say that I kind of fudged the part about her being my aunt. She's not really. She's my mom's distant cousin that happens to live in our town. I was looking for a job and my mom saw on Facebook she asked for someone to babysit her kid. So, she's not technically close family even. I just didn't want the post to be specific because I don't know if who was involved goes on Reddit. But I don't care anymore. So, what happened was I talked to my not really aunt the day before I had to leave to go on my school trip to Europe. I kind of planned this in a way that she couldn't try to talk me back into while I was gone, since I had no access to texting. The day before I talked to my aunt, I told my mom everything and how my school work was being affected and that it wasn't helping out family anymore. It was being taken advantage of and all of the points that were brought up by other Redditors. She finally agreed that it was wrong of me to be doing and that her son should watch the kid or someone else who actually could control the kid better. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the last post, but the kid I babysit has increasingly become badly behaved. One day I dyed my hair brown and she said, "Why would you do that? You look like a FC King monster," as an example. So, on to the drama. When my not really aunt dropped me off at my house, I stayed in the car so I could talk to her, and I said that I would be unable to continue watching kid when I returned from school. She immediately tried to say that that wasn't possible. She doesn't have anyone else. I touched on a few points such as my grades are failing. I am taking a college class and finals are coming up. I need to study. I cannot control her kid well enough anymore. The kid wasn't in the car during this conversation. Her brother was watching her at the time. I am not being paid enough. She tried to convince me at this point she would pay me more soon. I told her I didn't want more money. I just didn't want to babysit anymore. I told her to look for other babysitters. I told her to go to care.com. I always see the commercials. I figured I might as well try something. At the end of it all, she basically told me that if I wasn't there to babysit the Monday I got back, then she would be extremely disappointed and called me selfish and said that I didn't care for family. At this point, I was kind of annoyed and I just got out of the car and went inside. I asked my mom to go talk to her because I kind of figured she wouldn't take me seriously. My mom lied to her and said that I could no longer work, like it was a punishment because my grades were failing. She got pretty irritated and made a remark about how I wasn't adult enough to handle working and school work at the same time, and that made my mom pretty mad, and they got in a fight about it. I'm glad that my mom stood up for me though. Anyways, after that things seemed okay. I got back and didn't go to babysit. There was a few texts like maybe next year you could help again, and I was just thinking nope. I waited a while to post this in case something else happened. But the most that's happened is her asking if I could watch her kid for a day or something like that. I never respond because I don't want to incite anything. All in all, I'm done my college classes. I'm going to be a senior soon, and maybe next year I can find a real job that I actually enjoy and get paid for. TLDR, my mom told her I was unable to work anymore because my grades were failing and they got in a fight. But I no longer have to babysit. I don't even know what to do with all this free time. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.